All right, well, during all this, it's really important if you manage your own emotions. And so I threw up here a lot of sayings. I think we all, I don't know who first said anger begets anger, but I think we've all heard that growing up, kind of like right up there with the golden rule. They said, smile and the world smiles with you, etc. And then I threw up one maybe you haven't heard from Irma Bombach, because I happen to really like her as an author, but worry is like a rocking chair, right? It doesn't really accomplish anything. And this is definitely a lesson I learned very young in my life. I like to get things done. I like action, and worry was a detractor for me. And so I've really learned how to not worry that much. I look at something, I think about what's the worst case, can I plan for worst case, and then I work my hardest to make sure the best case happens. I also want to point out in this time of high stress that it's really important you take time to care for yourself. If you're stressed, that's going to show to other people. If you're exhausted, it's going to show to other people. You will not be your personal best if you're exhausted and tired and those things. But taking care of yourself and taking time for yourself right now also kind of gives permission to those on your team to also take time for themselves. Some people will naturally do it. They don't need you to say it's okay. But some personalities need to know, oh wait, my boss, my coworker, they really are still stepping away from their computer while we're working from home. They really are taking lunch. They really are shutting down in the evening. They're doing those things, therefore I can too. So we're going to talk about the same layoff that I already mentioned. And it's just an example of if you can control your feelings, right? You know, anger begets anger. If someone is angry with you, but you can respond without anger, it can completely diffuse a situation. And in that same layoff I was sharing with you earlier, when we were planning for the layoff, I mean, all the executives knew, and we had shared with employees, it was coming. We told people in advance, get your resumes ready. We don't know who we're laying off yet and who we don't. We don't know how deep it's going yet, but it's coming. And there was a regional executive who put herself on the list. So my mistake in this situation was when I was planning the execution of this, we couldn't do one-on-one conversations. There were way too many people being let go in one day. There were over 300 people being let go in one day. But in the office in Bethesda, I wanted to personally get in front of every group. And so we did them in groups, and we did them by department. And she was over the accounting department. And so I put her in the group with her team. I didn't ask her if that's what she wanted. I mean, and she knew the layoffs, and she picked who was being laid off. But I put her in the room with those individuals. And in hindsight, I should have asked her about that. I assumed that that's what she would want to be with her team. But she was not happy with that. And when she walked into that room and saw her entire team sitting there, she picked up the RIF notebook. That's reduction in force. I think y'all all know that. But she picked up her RIF notebook, and it was, you know, an inch thick binder. And she literally threw it at me. And she called me a word that rhymes with witch, and she stormed out of the room. And I took a deep breath, and I picked up the notebook. It was a thick book. It didn't move that fast. I got out of the way. It didn't hit me. And I put it back, and I apologized to her team. I didn't get angry. I didn't yell at her. I didn't go after her. I looked at her team and I said, you know, this layoff is really, really hard on everyone. And I know it's hard on her that she had to pick who was sitting in this room. And we just kept on going. And in the end, these were people who were very loyal to her and very close to her, but every single one of them gave me a hug on their way out the door. And I had just laid them off, and they all hugged me, and they thanked me for the RIF notebook. They thanked me for understanding that their boss was so upset. If I had reacted to her anger with anger, that entire scenario would have played out very differently. That's the benefit of learning how to control your emotions. It's not easy. It takes practice. let me share with you, there are a ton of books on this topic. And if you've never read one, now's a good time. There's a whole lot of them available for very inexpensively or free on Audibles. And you can also practice without reading a book. Practice on your kids if you have them, or your significant other. If they get upset and angry and they yell at you, don't yell back. Take a deep breath. Be calm. See if they don't calm down with you. If you're stressed or angry, take a deep breath. Put a smile on your face. Have you ever heard, like, if you smile before you answer the telephone, the people on the other end will know you're smiling? You know, they teach you that in sales. And it's true here too. Even if you're stressed, if you take a deep breath and put a smile on your face, and if you can't fake a smile, take a minute to remember something that makes you happy so that it's a genuine smile. And see how others react now differently, because they will mirror you.